Every piece of wood in and around your home is being eaten right now. Not by termites, not by fire, by water, by fungus. By a slow, invisible biological process that begins the moment wood is exposed to moisture and never stops until the wood completely collapses. Your deck, your fence, your window frames, your door frames, the wooden structures you paid thousands of dollars to build are quietly rotting from the inside out while you watch from your living room window. Carpenters charge $300 to treat wood with professional preservative products. Timber treatment companies charge $500 to $2,000 to pressure treat structural wood against rot and fungal decay. They have been charging this for over 100 years because nobody ever told you that copper sulfate, a $2 powder from any garden store, penetrates wood fiber deeper than any commercial preservative and stops biological decay permanently at the cellular level. This is the knowledge they buried inside the fine print. Welcome to Chemist Survival. This is where vaults get opened. If these stories matter to you, subscribe and hit the bell icon. This is where we open the vaults, the industry locked shut forever. In 1838, a French chemist named Jean-Robert Boucherie was working in Bordeaux, France, studying why freshly cut timber rotted so quickly outdoors. The French railway system was expanding rapidly and required millions of wooden sleepers that could survive decades of outdoor exposure without failing. Boucherie discovered that when he introduced a diluted copper sulfate solution into freshly cut wood, the copper ions dispersed through the entire cellular structure of the timber. Every cell wall, every internal fiber. The copper did not seal the wood from outside like paint. It changed the internal cellular chemistry completely. Fungal spores could not germinate on copper-treated fiber. Decay bacteria could not establish colonies. Treated railway sleepers lasted 25 to 30 years instead of 3 to 5. He published his findings in 1838. Railways adopted it immediately. And then the timber preservation industry spent the next 180 years building walls of complexity around a process that Boucherie demonstrated with a $2 powder and a bucket of water. Here's exactly what copper sulfate does inside wood and why it works permanently. Wood is made of 3 biological compounds: cellulose, which provides structural strength, hemicellulose, which binds the fibers together, and lignin, which gives wood its hardness. All 3 are vulnerable to 2 primary enemies: wood rot fungi and wood decay bacteria. Wood rot fungi release enzymes that digest cellulose and lignin directly. Given enough moisture, they can reduce a solid timber to soft, crumbling powder within 3 to 7 years. Wood decay bacteria colonize internal cell walls and break down the binding compounds from the inside. The wood looks perfectly solid until one day it simply collapses completely. Copper sulfate stops both mechanisms at the same time. When copper ions penetrate wood fiber, they bond directly with the cell wall proteins throughout the entire internal structure. This creates a toxic cellular environment for both fungi and bacteria. Fungal enzymes cannot function in the presence of copper ions. Decay bacteria cannot colonize copper-bonded cell walls. The biological machinery that destroys wood simply stops working permanently. Commercial pressure treated timber uses copper-based compounds as its primary active ingredient. The same copper Boucherie dissolved in water in 1838. The difference between a $2 bag of copper sulfate and a $500 professional treatment is not the chemistry. It is 180 years of carefully constructed complexity around a dissolved powder and a bucket of water. Now, for the numbers that put everything into perspective, the global wood preservative market generates over $3.5 billion every single year. Professional timber treatment services charge between $300 and $2,000 per project. The average homeowner spends between $500 and $1,500 replacing rotted deck boards, fence posts, and window frames every 5 to 10 years, structures that would have lasted indefinitely with a single $2 copper sulfate treatment applied at the beginning. 1 kilogram of copper sulfate costs between $2 and $5 at any garden center. 1 kilogram dissolved in 10 liters of water creates enough solution to fully treat an entire garden fence, a full deck surface, or all exterior window and door frames on an average home. A single treatment applied to bare wood before finishing lasts the entire lifespan of the structure. Total cost of copper sulfate treatment, $2 to $5. Professional timber treatment cost, $300 to $2,000. replacement cost of rotted structures $500 to $1,500 every decade. The only thing standing between you and that math was the information on this screen right now. Here is exactly what you need to stop any wood from rotting permanently starting this weekend. Purchase copper sulfate powder from any garden center, hardware store, or agricultural supplier. It is commonly sold as a fungicide and algae treatment for garden ponds. Make sure you purchase the pure powder form, not a pre-mixed liquid product. Wear rubber gloves throughout this entire process. Copper sulfate is a mild skin irritant and should never be ingested. Prepare your treatment solution. Dissolve 20 grams of copper sulfate, approximately 1 heaped tablespoon, into 1 liter of warm water. Stir until completely dissolved. The solution will turn a clear, bright blue color when fully ready. This 2% concentration is the optimal strength for deep wood penetration without surface crystallization. Prepare your wood surface before treating. Sand any rough areas lightly with medium grit sandpaper. Remove all existing paint, varnish, or sealant completely. Copper sulfate solution must contact bare, uncoated wood fiber to penetrate and work effectively. It cannot pass through existing surface coatings of any kind. Apply the copper sulfate solution generously to all bare wood surfaces using a wide paintbrush or garden sprayer. Apply slowly and allow each coat to absorb fully before applying the next coat. Fresh bare wood absorbs the first coat within minutes. Apply a second coat immediately after. For end-grain surfaces where moisture enters fastest, apply 3 to 4 coats with full absorption between each one. For fence posts that will be buried in soil, soak the bottom 30 centimeters of each post in the solution for a full 24 hours before installation. Ground contact is where wood rot begins fastest. A 24-hour soak saturates the fiber completely through the full contact zone and creates a permanent barrier exactly where it is needed most. Allow all treated surfaces to dry completely for 48 hours before applying any paint, stain, or finishing product on top. The copper ions need time to fully bond with the cell wall proteins before any surface coating is applied over them. For existing outdoor structures already showing early surface weathering but not yet serious rot, apply the solution directly after light sanding. The copper will penetrate through the weathered outer layer and reach the sound wood fiber beneath, stopping any further decay from progressing deeper into the structure. I need to be honest with you about one important limitation. Copper sulfate protects wood permanently against biological decay from fungi and bacteria. It does not provide waterproofing or UV protection on its own. For outdoor wood that requires both rot protection and weather resistant, you must apply a quality exterior paint, stain, or clear sealant over the treated surface after the 48-hour drying period. The copper sulfate handles the biological threat permanently. The top coat handles the weather exposure. Together, they provide complete protection for a total cost under $10. Also, never apply copper sulfate near water bodies or drainage areas where runoff could reach natural waterways, as it is toxic to aquatic life at higher concentrations. Jean-Robert Boucherie dissolved copper sulfate in water in 1838 and demonstrated permanent wood preservation to the French railway industry. The timber treatment industry spent 180 years building a $3.5 billion business around that. Same dissolved powder wrapped in proprietary formulas and professional certification you were never supposed to know you did not need. A $2 bag of copper sulfate from any garden center, warm water, a paintbrush, and a Saturday afternoon. That is the complete formula they buried under 180 years of professional complexity. You just walk through those walls with a garden center receipt and a bucket of water,